The rain hadn't stopped all day. I sat huddled on the corner of 47th and Main, wrapped in a tattered blanket, holding my cardboard sign. Pregnant. Hungry. Anything helps. Most people passed by without a glance. One woman dropped her half-eaten sandwich in front of me without slowing down. I picked it up anyway. You lose your pride before you lose your name out here. Mine was Sophie Lane, once. Now I was just that girl with the belly on the corner. That night, I barely noticed the sleek black car idling near the curb. What did I care? It wasn't like they were stopping for me. But then the window rolled down. "Hey," a voice said, calm, deep, rich. I looked up, soaked to the bone, mascara smudged under my eyes. The man inside wore a tailored navy coat, silver hair brushed back, eyes like stone. I recognized him. Jonathan Grayson, the tech billionaire. What on earth was he doing on this block? "You need help?" he asked. I blinked, too stunned to lie. I guess. I'm just trying to get warm." He nodded once, then opened the passenger door. "Get in." I hesitated. He didn't push, just waited. And something in his voice, something I hadn't heard in a long time, made me trust him. I climbed in. The heat blasted, the seats were soft, and I cried before I could stop myself. At his penthouse, he handed me a towel, then quietly disappeared. I dried off, still unsure if I was dreaming. He returned minutes later with soup and a document. "This is a transfer of assets," he said. "Effective immediately, I'm placing 50% of my estate into your name." I choked on my soup. "What? Why?" He studied me. "Because I'm dying, and I think you might be the only one who can save me." I stared at him like he'd grown horns. "You think I can cure you?" He nodded, calm as if talking about the weather. "I've been sick for years. My condition, neurological, rare, aggressive, resisted every treatment. But 6 months ago, a research team found something." He pulled out a thin file and handed it to me. I didn't understand the medical jargon, but the words that stuck out were clear enough. Genetic anomaly, blood compatibility, experimental serum. He sat across from me. "There's a unique protein in certain individuals that stabilizes the degenerative breakdown. And your blood. It's a match." I shook my head. "You tested me?" "Number, I saw your medical intake from the free clinic on the 12th. I have connections. My team ran a match based on open records. Yours was the only compatible sequence." I backed away. "You tracked me. Used me." "No," he said firmly. "I found you. I chose to give you the money before I knew you'd say yes or no." I folded my arms over my belly protectively. "Why me?" "Because I don't have time for people who say yes for the wrong reasons. You looked me in the eye tonight. You didn't flinch. That's rare." I didn't know what to say. I wasn't used to being seen. Finally, I whispered, "What happens if I agree?" "We do a blood transfusion series, trial-based, safe but unapproved. We start immediately." "And if I say no," he paused, "then you walk away, with the money, no strings, but I die within 6 months." The silence between us was thunderous. "I need to think," I whispered. He nodded. "Take the guest room. Sleep. Decide tomorrow." But I couldn't sleep, because a man I'd never met just gave me half his fortune, and the power to rewrite both our fates. I agreed the next morning, not for the money, not even out of pity, but because something inside me, the part that still believed in humanity, whispered that maybe this was why I had survived the streets, the shelters, and the loss of everything. The trial began quietly. A private medical team set up a sterile lab on the 45th floor of his estate. Daily tests, vitals, transfusions. At first, nothing happened. But by day 5, Jonathan changed. He slept through the night. The tremors in his hands stopped. His speech, once halting, was sharp again. "It's working, Doctor," Lynn whispered one morning, blinking at the data. I sat across from him, sipping orange juice. The baby kicked, and he smiled. "Have you thought about names?" he asked. "Not yet. I said. Figured I'd just get through the birth first. He nodded, then looked at me seriously. I want to be part of this child's life. I blinked. Jonathan. Not as a father, as a guardian, a protector, if something happens to me. You'll live, I interrupted. You're getting stronger. And I want to make sure you both stay safe, which is why I need to tell you something. He stood, walked over to the window. The city sparkled below us. There's someone who doesn't want me to survive. Someone who benefits if I die. I froze. What do you mean? My board. My partner. Elliot Crane. If I die, he inherits my controlling shares. If I live, he loses everything. Goosebumps ran down my arms. You think he'll try something? Jonathan turned slowly. I don't think. I know. That night, I locked my door. Not because I didn't trust Jonathan, but because his words echoed through my brain like a broken siren. Someone wants him dead. I lay awake listening to the wind howl between the skyscrapers, one hand on my belly, the other gripping the edge of the silk sheets that still didn't feel like mine. I had nothing to protect myself with, no experience with danger, just instincts sharpened by years on the street. And right now, every instinct screamed, "Watch your back." The next morning, I found Dr. Lynn in the makeshift lab. She looked up from her tablet, startled. "You're up early." "I need to ask you something," I said. "Do you trust everyone on your team?" Her lips parted, then closed again. That was answer enough. "I trust the science," she said carefully. "But I didn't choose the staff. Mr. Grayson's partner had input." "Elliot Crane?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "He's visited the lab twice," she added. "Asked a lot of questions. Too many. Jonathan thinks he wants him dead," I said. "That this cure threatens his control." Dr. Lynn paled. "That would explain some things, like why one of the blood samples had gone missing last week, like why there were 2 different login attempts from offshore locations." I swallowed hard. "Does Jonathan know?" She hesitated. "Not all of it." I turned toward the hallway. "Then we need to tell him." But when we reached the penthouse, Jonathan wasn't there. His phone, still on the charger. His coat, still on the hook. Only the security cam feed told the truth. The screen flickered. Footage from 3:02 a.m. Jonathan, stepping into the service elevator. Alone, and not returning. It was like watching a ghost disappear. 1 minute he was there, alive, healing, hopeful. The next, he was gone. I paced the penthouse, panic clawing at my chest. "Why would he leave in the middle of the night?" Dr. Lynn shook her head. "Maybe he was meeting someone?" Or lured. I didn't realize I was crying until I felt the tear slip down my cheek. Jonathan had become more than just a patient to me, more than a strange benefactor. He'd become the first person in years who made me feel safe. And now, he was missing. We alerted security, checked hospitals. Nothing. I even called the private driver Jonathan trusted most. No pickups, no drop-offs. It was like he vanished into thin air. That evening, Dr. Lynn pulled me aside. "We can't wait," she said. "There's still enough of your blood here to continue the treatment. If we can prove it works without him present—" "No," I snapped. "This isn't just a project. He's a person." She sighed. "Then what do you suggest we do?" I looked at the file Jonathan left on his desk. A list of board members. Bank account numbers. Coded entries marked ECI met her eyes. "We go to Elliot Crane. You think he'll tell us the truth?" I smiled grimly. "Number, but he'll reveal it, one way or another." Elliot Crane's office sat on the 70th floor of a mirrored tower in Midtown. Clean lines, cold air. A secretary who looked like she'd bite if I breathed wrong. I walked in anyway. No appointment. No hesitation. Dr. Lynn followed, clutching her tablet like a weapon. Elliot stood as we entered. Slick suit, ice blue eyes, not a single hair out of place. "Well," he said smoothly. "The girl with the golden blood." I flinched. "Where is he?" "Who?" "Jonathan." Elliot shrugged. "Haven't seen him. Thought he was in bed recovering." I stepped forward. He's missing, and you're the only one with motive. He tilted his head. Motive? That's a strong word. You'd lose the company if he lived. You'd lose everything. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That assumes I didn't already lose it when he handed half of it to a homeless woman. Dr. Lin stepped in. We have data, proof the treatment is working, and you'll be responsible if anything happens to him. His eyes flicked to her, then to the door. You should go, before you embarrass yourselves further. Then you won't mind if we call the police? I asked. Or the press? Something shifted behind his eyes. Not fear, calculation. You won't find him, he said quietly. But if you do, you'll wish you hadn't. I grabbed Dr. Lin's arm and turned to leave, but my legs felt weak, because he wasn't bluffing, and I had no idea if Jonathan Grayson was still alive.